Welcome to Grunt East Media Podcast. I'm Brody Heidemann, joined alongside Peyton Parker, and today we're going to be going over the hottest topic in all of the state of Nebraska, the Nebraska offseason. I think everybody's feeling the Rhule-Aid this offseason. It's pumping through their veins, and as we get ready for the season in a couple of months, things like the spring game and these spring practices are fueling that adrenaline for the fan base. So, start off with, we're going to be going over our reactions to the spring game, which I think everyone had. There's a big elephant in the room to all of it, so we'll go straight to that. But to start off with, I don't know if we can really talk about anything else to start off with. Dylan Rhule-Aid, I think he's going to start game one. What do you think? I mean,
yeah, I think he will too. He looked very impressive in the spring game. What was he, 16 for 22?
Yeah, 16 for
touchdowns?
22, like 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. I don't think there's a better quarterback in that roster. So, I mean, his performance, I'd rate it like, I don't know, because you don't see much better spring performances from guys. He did have an interception, but really wasn't his fault. So, I mean, if I'm rating his performance out of 10, I'd give him about like an 8 out of 10 maybe. He had a few little blemishes on his results, but still. What about you?
Yeah, I'd give him an 8 or 9 out of 10. I mean, once again, like 16 for 22 in the first half.
Insane.
That's
you don't see that regularly. I think the only other guy that had as good of a spring game was Arch Manning, who had like 300 yards. But for a former 5-star recruit in Dylan Rhule-Aid to go out there and do that in his first action is just, it's pumping up the crowd. But along with that, there were some other key players. Jacoby Barney Jr., he had like a 60, maybe 50-yard touchdown catch from Heinrich Harburg. He toe-tapped right on the edge of the end zone. He also almost took a kick return to the house, but he was tackled by Tristan Alvano. That was a funny sight. And then Blyhill and Demetrius Bell both injured during the game. 2 guys that Matt Rhule was saying during the offseason were 2 of the guys that were standing out. Tough to see that. Don't know if we'll see them for a while. Anybody for you, Peyton?
I'm kind of just wondering what they'll do with Harburg. I mean, we haven't gone a season without a quarterback getting injured, so
yes, I agree.
Definitely could still see playing time, but it'll be interesting to see if they put him at tight end or wide receiver.
He is big and physical.
Yeah, what type of formations they'll run with him in there.
I agree. I think he had some good throws. He had some good plays. He's like 6'5". He's one of the bigger guys out there on the field, even like bigger than some of the not linemen, but like tight ends and those guys. He's one of the bigger guys. Harburg, that's going to be a big question. Him and Daniel Kalen, if they can battle for the quarterback 2 spot, who will end up being? I think it'll end up being Harburg because I think they're going to redshirt Kalen, but just my opinion. So next up, though, we're going to go to our second topic, the offseason. There's a lot going on this offseason, and start off with Matt Rhule looking to come back with another big recruiting class. I mean, there's a lot of talent in Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, he wants Nebraska kids to stay in Nebraska, and he wants to bring in his own kids from kind of, I don't want to say get rid of people from the Scott Frost era, but he wants his own roster.
He wants speed. He wants Matt Rhule is all speed. And you look at some of the players they're bringing in, they're running the fastest 100-yard times in track and field. You got guys that go out there and just blaze past people. It's kind of his formula for success at Baylor and Temple. So we'll see if he continues to do that. Also, something else, have you seen the facilities they're putting in Lincoln?
Yes, I went on a visit, last month? That thing, I could see it right next to the stadium. It was impressive, to say the least.
If you bring a recruit in and you see that as a recruit on campus, just seeing that big old recruiting center, I don't know how you could not commit on the spot. It's massive. I think it's like $250 million for it. We got 4 months to game day. The team can improve in a lot of ways compared to last season. Obviously, they had a good defense, but what else? What else can they do? What do you think?
I think the rushing attack could be, the rushing attack could be better this year. I don't want to diss Anthony Grant, but a lot of the time he would try to bounce it outside.
Yes,
all the time. I think if we just stay committed to those 3 or 4 yard rushes, that we'd be a lot better off instead of bouncing it out and losing 2 yards.
Yeah, then the real question is now, who's going to be the starting running back? You really don't have that much experience in the room. Emmett Johnson, obviously, he played a lot of games at the end of the season last year with the injuries to Irvin and Johnson. But will we see Gabe Irvin be healthy and be fine for game one? Will Dante Dowdell, who's coming in as a transfer, or Ramir Johnson take over for Emmett Johnson? So, I mean, there a lot can happen. I think, personally, that it's going to end up being Emmett Johnson who starts game one. What do you think, Peyton?
Yeah, I think Emmett Johnson will probably be the starter game one, but I also think him and Ramir will probably split, and if not, Ramir will find his way as a slot or something along those lines.
I agree with that. Also, how can this defense, a year ago they were top 10 in, I want to say, like 7 or 8 categories. They were one of the better defenses under Tony White. Nebraska was able to maintain Tony White, and Tony White's coming back with a new and improved defense. They really don't lose anybody. Didn't lose Nash, didn't lose Ty, didn't lose Tommy Hill. They didn't lose a lot of these guys. So how can they come back and be better?
I don't know, but whatever Tony White is doing down there in Lincoln is working.
Yeah.
And I think if they just stick to that 3-3-5, they play. I didn't really like the soft zone coverages that
I didn't either.
played.
They kind of let up a lot.
They let up 7-8 yard gains with those.
They're down.
Maybe change those up a little bit, but other than that, don't change a thing.
I agree with you. I think the third down, they need to fix. One of the biggest things in Nebraska over the past 8 years or so is third down. I feel like when you go to Lincoln and you're in the stadium for a third down, like they always get like everyone gets loud and gets hyped, but it's like it's for nothing because the defense doesn't do anything half the time and they get a first down on like a 3rd and 8. So I think that's the biggest thing they can improve on, but we'll see. And now to our final topic of the day, predictions. We got a few predictions from ourselves, and start with, I think it's the elephant in the room, over under 6.5 wins. If they get the over, well, if they even get the under, it's 6 wins, which is still a bowl game, but over under 6.5 wins.
I think they'll be over that. I don't think their schedule is terribly challenging this year. And with Dylan Raiola, a returning cast of defensive members, I think they could very well get over 6.5 wins.
I agree with that. I'm going to push a little bit further. I think they can start off the season 5-0, 4-0. They have a really easy opening schedule. I think the only team that they face that's going to end up being tough, and I don't even think they're tough. They went 4-8 last year, is Colorado. I think that's the toughest team they're going to play to start the year. So if they can start off 5-0, 4-0, what's to stop them from trying to take down some of the bigger opponents on the back end of their season? Next up, though, Dylan Raiola, over 2,000 yards passing.
This one's a bit of a challenge because, like I said earlier, we haven't had a starting quarterback go without getting injured in however many years. But I think if he stays healthy, definitely.
I agree. I think if Dylan Raiola stays healthy, he will get 2,000 yards, and I think he's going to be the best freshman quarterback in the nation. I don't think there's another freshman quarterback that's going to start, but I think Dylan Raiola will 100% get 2,000 yards if he starts. This offense, they don't have the legs to continue to run the ball like they did last season. Dylan Raiola isn't also as big of a rushing attack, so if they continue to throw these deep passes, they've got threats like Jalen Lloyd. They've got guys like Isaiah Nair, Jamal Banks coming in. I think they can abuse that.
So, third prediction, over under 2.5 starting running backs. I'm going to go with over because Ramir Johnson, Emmett Johnson.
Gabe Ervin.
Yeah, Gabe Ervin. So, in my mind, definitely those three will at least get playing time alongside each other. And I think that they will all 3 start games.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go with the under. I have a feeling that Emmett Johnson's going to lock it in. I think he's going to end up being the clear cut. I think Irvin's going to have too many injury problems. He's not going to come back for a while. If he does come back and he does take the sales, I don't think Gabe Ervin will let go of it if he takes over. But I don't think he's going to. That's why I'm going to say there's only going to be 2 starting running backs. I think that running back 2 spot is going to switch a lot. I think that Johnson and Ervin are going to switch off there. But I'm just going to say under on 2.5 starting running backs. Next up, over-under top 10.5 defense. I'm hammering the over. I think they're going to be a top 5 defense. I think Tony White's bringing back so many good players. This defense, they were so good in year 1 with the new team, with new coaches. I can't imagine what they're going to do as experienced veterans in this 3-3-5.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that one. I think with all the players coming back and experiencing this for a year already, I think they will definitely be a top 10 defense.
Yes.
Over under 3.5 Matt Rhule quotes going viral.
I'm going over. I think he had 5 last year, 6 last year. If we die, we die. He had the mother's talk. like the amount of viral things that Matt Rhule produced last year, it's unlike a Nebraska team.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with under on this one. I don't think
Oof.
I think it was new to a lot of the press in Lincoln.
True.
And I think it won't be as big of a deal this year, but we'll see.
Thanks for tuning in for our Nebraska football offseason talk. I'm Brody Heidemann, joined alongside Peyton Parker with the Wingspan, the official student news source of Crednet East.